On today's show, it's about whole house repiping in Houston.
Who told you we're plumbers? We're plumbers.
John Eccles, Richard Sod. So the big question today, and we've done a ton of these the past month, is why would you want it, or why do you need it, right? Those are the big questions, and they're big. This is a big ticket item.
Absolutely.
And there is a lot of people that need this.
Yeah, so, you know, we're talking about a whole house water repipe. You know, it is a big ticket item. There's a lot of work involved in these. And so when you're asking, you know, when do you want it, or when do you need it, or some of the symptoms of why you would want it, you know, there's a couple things, right?
Right.
One, you know, is you have low water pressure, right? Low water pressure throughout the house. You know, something, you know, you're thinking it might be a faucet, but it might be tied to the water pipes. You're not sure. That's where we come in and look at it.
So in saying that, let's talk about the oldest parts of Houston, right? Let's go back a little further of why would you need it, right? To my first question. So I think, why would you need it? If you look at the Heights, you look at Montrose, Westview, Bel Air, Meyerland, going out Memorial, those are some of the oldest parts of Houston. Well, prior to 1970, you have a strong chance of having galvanized pipe, right? Yeah. Well, galvanized piping was not meant to last this long. No. It's got a zinc coating on the interior, and all of that zinc coating has come off, and it's actually exposed the iron now. Yeah. Well, the iron, going back to what you said, is producing the discoloration of the water. Right. And in fact, the house that I grew up in, that my parents still have and own, we had to repipe that one last year, and that one was 1970. And it was finally gone, and the whole house was brown water coming out pretty much by this time. So in saying that, when is a good time to do this? And my answer to that is there's never a good time, right? But I can tell you there is a big issue being proactive versus reactive.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? The reactive part is you're out of town, your water line has a break or a leak, right? And you come back and you've got a house that has major damage. And then you're reactive. Proactive is, hey, I know my piping is not meant to last this long. I need to get rid of it.
That's right.
I want to do this.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And get rid of it before a catastrophe actually happens. Now, the #1 insurance claim in the state of Texas is?
Water damage.
Water damage. #1, guys. Yeah. And that has to do with plumbing most of the time. Some of it has to do with roof. Right. But most of the time, it's going to be plumbing related. And what I tell our clients is, I'm going to give you one leak. That's the freebie. But I know all of your coating is gone, right? It's not on your pipe anymore. So you get one more leak on top of that leak, we need to do the entire system.
Yeah, you're just playing with fire, right?
You're going to go out of town, and it's going to be that time or on a Friday night when you're sleeping, and something's going to let loose, and it's going to ruin a bunch of stuff.
When was the last time something broke when you wanted it to? It's always the worst time.
Yeah, right? It never does. Yeah. So, in saying that, if you were built prior to that 1970, you really need to start looking at how to do it, start having a company engineer it, right? And then make a decision on when to go and do it. That's what I would tell you to do. And that's being proactive. Reactive is, let's wait for some leaks and see what damage occurs, and we'll fix that too.
Yeah, which, I mean, we get them both ways.
We get them both ways.
You know, but I mean, whenever you're talking about that process, You know, nowadays, right, a big popular one is obviously the PEX piping. Of course, we do PEX, copper, you know, whatever, you know, the customer wants, right, as long as it's within code, we'll do. But that piping is just projected to last a lot longer than the galvanized was.
Totally different. Yeah, the makeup's totally different.
Yeah.
You know, galvanized, of course, is iron. Yeah. So your other one's plastics or copper. So, you know, when you decide to do this, it is an investment. You're investing into your home. And you should never have to repipe your house again. It should be a one-time decision. Yeah. Now, with copper, I'm a huge copper fan.
Yep.
And I'm in a 1955 house. And this house had galvanized. The previous owner had added on to it, and some of my galvanized was gone. But I couldn't wait to get rid of the rest of the galvanized. And I went with all copper. Why did I go with all copper? It's the only material that we have left that fights bacteria and viruses. And that's why hospitals still use it. That's right. It's antibacterial. So, you know, there's some reasons I went with that. It was important to me that I wanted that agent in there and that fighting capability in there. So plastics do not have that. That's the biggest difference, right? But copper has to be done perfect because you can really shorten the life of copper. So if somebody's coming to your house, you make a decision to go copper, you need to vet them well to make sure they know how to install copper properly. Because not installed properly means it's going to greatly shorten the life of that copper, and you are going to start having leaks again. And it's going to do the exact same thing galvanized is doing to you today. Yeah.
You know, especially, and that's probably anything in our industry. Installs, you know, a very big deal. You want to make sure that it's done right and correct. But when you're talking about water, Houston's water quality isn't the best anyway.
That impacts it.
And so, you know, that's another thing about that galvanized. We got water that has contaminants in it that just eats so fast through some things that it's important to set yourself up. Like you said, your home's an investment. You want to give it, you know, the best chance to flourish as possible. I mean, it's a lot better to take care of that beforehand so you're not having an insurance claim and a lot of damage and having to do a lot of construction to the interior of the home.
Yeah, and it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, we see it time and time again.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but yeah.
It is. Mm-hmm. And a lot of these high-rises in town that are the same age are having problems. And when those let loose, it's going down 3, 4, 5, 6 floors before they can actually get that water off.
Yeah.
And in saying that, what's just as important, and I want to add this, what's just as important as your water system, right, is your hot water heater. Yeah. Because your hot water heater can produce the same leak that your galvanized piping can.
That's right.
So those need to be checked on a regular basis to make sure those aren't failing and to make sure that piping structure on top and the integrity of that unit is good, right? Yeah. And that's why we do and the VIP plan.
That's right.
And we come to the house once a year and we make sure to visually check all your piping and the water heater.
Yeah. You know, you say that. We did a show just the other day on this about, you know, things that are hidden. And a lot of times these water pipes are hidden. They're out of the way, so you might not notice them. So like you're saying, if you live in one of those homes that is older and you haven't had them checked out or you haven't had it looked at, you know, it's probably a good time, like you said, to go ahead and start having someone at least come put an eyeball on it to make sure that you are, some of the galvanized piping will still look relatively good, right? And kudos if it is. Hopefully that's the case. But it's good to get an eye on it to make sure that. At least do that part.
Absolutely.
At least so you know where you stand. That's the proactive approach.
Absolutely. Now, there's a lot of companies that have flooded into Houston right now. They're from California, they're from other states, and they have all subs. So you need to vet who's going to do this job for you well. Because there are a lot of companies doing it right now. They're using subs. And are they going to be here tomorrow? Are they going to warranty their stuff? I can't tell you. But they sure are promoting themselves all over the place. So we've been here 40 years. We do repiping all the time.
Do you live in Houston?
Sometimes.
Born and raised. Lives in Houston, right? And that's what's great about our staff. We're all right here.
That's right.
You know, been servicing y'all for 40 years. That's one of the perks of Nick's Plumbing, right? You know that you're going to get a qualified, licensed guy, that the office is here, the staff is here, right? We're all here to help.
And I want to add something. Nobody is 100% perfect all the time.
Absolutely.
We are human. People make mistakes. It's how you handle the mistake after the mistake was made to address the issue and get it done quickly. That's what I and John are all about. And again, we're not perfect, but when we leave there, it will be perfect.
Absolutely.
And we take care of our problems very quick. But all these other companies that have flooded in here because we've got a lot of homes that have galvanized piping that need to be repiped, or they're in the process of getting repiped and looking at people to get piping. You need to vet that company. Make sure that they've been here. Make sure you're going to get what you pay for.
Yeah.
And make sure what the decision that you're making is going to be best for you and the family, right?
That's right.
Because there are ways these plumbing companies can impact and skimp on cost. So, you know, one company, if you look at expenses, one's more than the other. Why is that? Are they flip-flopping material on you? I'll give you an example. There's two different grades of copper that we can use. One, of course, is cheaper than the other one. So why is our bid, let's say, more expensive or cheaper than somebody else's? Well, that guy could have been using a cheaper product. I could have been using a more expensive product. You need to verify all those things prior to moving forward.
Yeah.
And what I can tell you, a lot of people make mistakes. They don't do that.
Yeah.
And then they're really angry after the fact. And they want to sue somebody, or they want to put blame somewhere. Yeah. Well, put blame where blame is due. You have to ask the proper questions. You have to educate yourself somewhat to make that good decision.
Especially one of that magnitude.
Correct. This should be a one-time ordeal, done, everything's fixed, everything's completed, and you should never have to think about it again. You guys need to think that way. And so when you're looking to repipe, I would be proactive, not reactive.
Yep.
Vet your company well. Make sure they've been in Houston for a lengthy period of time that you're comfortable with, and make sure they handle their problems.
That's it.
Because we all have the issues. It's how you handle them afterwards.
Absolutely.
Anything else to add to that?
I think that was beautiful.
Well, thank you.
That was.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Any questions that you guys have? We're here for second opinions. We love second opinions. And we will be honest with you. And if the other company gave you a good and fair and honest price and solution, we're going to tell you that.
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with giving John or I a call, and we will get somebody out there to take a look at it.
Absolutely.
So thank you guys for watching.
Thanks so much.
We'll see you next week.